Hello! In this lecture, I will discuss how to build a competency development plan. So far, we have discussed what the various competencies are for project, program, and portfolio management, as well as how to assess our current competencies. Now it is time to look at the gaps in our competencies and build a plan to reduce or remove those gaps. First, we need to understand how to identify gaps in our competencies. We know that PMI recommends personal, knowledge, and performance competencies for all three roles: project, program, and portfolio managers. You will also have to identify what competencies are expected for your industry and organization. Then you can compare your assessment results with what is required and/or recommended and identify the areas where you are below the ideal competency. Once you have identified these gaps, you should then work with your manager and/or coach to prioritize them so that you know what gaps you should address first. Once you have the list of prioritized competency gaps, you need to determine what steps you need to take to improve on your competencies. PMI gives a general list of activities to complete to reach the desired competencies based on your level of experience and/or role. For instance, if you are an inexperienced project manager, PMI recommends that you get a mentor to help you develop key PM skills, establish a network of project professionals, perform self-directed learning such as simulations and web-based trainings, and obtain your CAPM certification. This table shows these recommendations for the following roles: 1. An inexperienced project manager, 2. A project manager, 3. An experienced project manager, 4. A program manager, and 5. A portfolio manager. Then for each role, PMI gives recommendations for learning and development actions in the areas of skills, knowledge, and education, experience, and certification. Using this guideline, you can identify specific development actions to take and use them to build your plan. So how do we decide what type of development actions to take? The table we just discussed is a guideline, but you and your manager and our coach will need to decide the specific actions for each competency gap. For instance, you may learn better in a classroom setting than a self-directed online course. Therefore, the modality may change from what is recommended by PMI based on your preferences. It may also be true that the best course is only offered online, so a classroom experience is not possible. Additionally, certification exam preparation should not replace real learning experiences and on-the-job training. Your real-world experiences will make you better prepared for the certification exam, not the other way around. Once you have worked through the gaps and made decisions on what activities you will perform to address those gaps, you should build a written plan that can be updated and utilized to measure your progress. The plan should include the following: 1. The development areas that need improvement or areas of strength that should be leveraged. 2. Their priority rating. 3. The PMI framework reference, either personal, knowledge, or performance. 4. The required outcome of the development activity, in other words, the competency gained or leveraged. 5. The learning activity type and description. 6. The target date for completion. And 7. A description of the gap. For example, your current state of competency and the desired state of competency. This table shows an example of a competency development plan. It can be a simple spreadsheet that you can share with your manager and/or coach. Remember to use measurable KPIs or metrics so that you can quantify and gauge your progress. That concludes our session on how to build a competency development plan. As Henry Ford said, the only thing worse than training your employees and having them leave is not training them and having them stay.